You read the 14 points, and what you find is that they mean something new to you every day because you have experiences that relate to these 14 points every day. You read the 14 points, and what you find is that they mean something new to you every day because you have experiences that relate to these 14 points every day.
Uhuru, comrades. Welcome to the Southern Region Political Education of the 14-point platform. Today, we're going to have, I want to welcome everybody in, and we'll do a couple of brief introductions. But I want to say today we studying point number 10, and Comrade Kundai Bajakikai is in live in Zenzele, where we're beginning to build an audience for the political education. So we want to welcome everybody to the PE, and we look forward to the discussion, to the lively discussion. Comrade Kundai has laid out, a good process for us today. So before we turn it over, I would like to get everybody, it's a few people on here new, so if everybody can just go around, say who you are, and if you can, turn your cameras on, and say where you're from. I'm Kobina out of Huntsville, Alabama, member of the African People's Socialist Party, Southern Regional Rep, Uhuru.
Yeah, Uhuru, Life Malcolm, Tampa, Florida, member of the African People's Socialist Party and agitational propaganda. Uhuru.
I'm the Go ahead.
No, go ahead, comrade.
It doesn't matter. Go ahead. I can wait.
Uhuru, I'm Comrade Kundai Bajikikai Kobina. And no, I'm joking because Kobina is normally the only person that says right. But as he said, I'm here as Zenzele Consignment, one of over 50 economic institutions of the Uhuru movement. And I'm just looking forward to the study today and everybody's input.
Okay, I'm the Yendu Nayan Gosha. I'm from Fort Myers, Florida. I'm the photo editor of Brownsville.
Uhuru, this is Maito. I'm coming out of California. I'm actually in Ohio right now, though. I can't turn my camera. I'm actually on my phone. I don't have Zoom on this phone.
Uhuru, welcome in.
Hello, this is Tequila Forward again. This is my second time joining, and I am driving, so I won't be able to turn my camera on so that I can stay focused on the road, but I'm all ears.
Right on, welcome back.
Uhuru.
Right now, if you're just tuning in, we are doing introductions. So if you haven't already introduced yourself, stated your name and said where you're from, you should go ahead and do that, brothers and sisters.
Oh, let's go down this, Comrade Russell.
Hello?
Comrade Tequila, or you just introduced yourself? Oh, go ahead,
No,
Comrade Russell.
Jason was saying something.
Yeah, I was just, introducing myself again, here in Tampa, Florida, by way of St. Elizabeth, Jamaica. Here to, hear some good insight and maybe get some good, input myself. Blessings, everybody.
Oh,
Is it Jason or Justin?
Jason.
Tavares Tavares.
Yes, sir. This is Tavares Allen, away of Tampa, Florida. I'm happy to be here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Comrade. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
I think Russell came off of mute.
This is Russell Johnson, Tampa, Florida. I'm all ears. You know what I'm saying? I'm just first time here. Recommendation, so I'm all ears.
Comrade. Comrade Red.
Good evening, everyone. I was invited by Maiso. I live here in Cambridge, Massachusetts. How are you all doing tonight? I'm happy to be here. Looking forward to learning and listening.
Comrade. Then we got a 256. Who was that? 565 6243.
It's Lakeisha out of Decatur, Alabama. Porter, invited by Kobina. My first time on Peru.
Where she say she's from?
That's Keisha.
Oh, hey Keisha. Hey Keisha.
Yeah, that's what's up. And then there's a 216 246 3333.
Yeah, that's me, 3333.
Who is that?
Maito.
Okay, Comrade Maito. All right, comrades, I appreciate that brief introduction. So without further ado, we're gonna get this party started. So I'm gonna turn it over to Kundai Bajikai. I'm working on it. But yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to her so we can study point number 10. And we encourage all comrades, to turn on your camera so we can see you as we dig into this discussion.
People act funny on live, like they don't know your name.
Comrade. I just wanted to say to the comrades who got their cameras off, it ain't no beauty contest. That's why I got mine turned on. So don't be shy. Go ahead and
says the person with the necktie and button up and everything else on.
Yeah. I got to do all that to distract from the neck up. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, go ahead and turn your cameras on. I know what most of y'all look like anyway. So go ahead and turn your cameras on, man. Don't be shy.
Tampa kind of deep. For everybody, Kobe, are you able to share the point?
Yes. Let's see.
Yeah, everyone, I'm gonna have to turn my camera off because I'm giving my 2-year-old a bath. So I'm here, but I have a 2-year-old, so no disrespect. No disrespect, all right?
No problem.
Oh, yeah, I'm sharing it.
All right, so we on point number 10 of the African People's Socialist Party 14-point platform. So we almost at the end.
Can you say it?
If you're not talking, you should mute. If you're not speaking, you should mute.
We see it.
You can say it?
Uh-huh. We see it. Okay, do we have anybody that would like to volunteer to read point number 10 and why we believe that?
I'll read it. We want the right to build an African people's liberation. We believe
Hold
that.
on, Indian dude. Hey, T Double, mute yourself, T Double. Everybody, if you're not speaking, put yourself on mute and then unmute when you're ready to talk. But that way we don't pick up your background.
Okay,
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
All right, Indian dude, go ahead. Want to be able to hear you.
Okay, we want the right to build an African People's Liberation Army. We believe that the true freedom, although often taken away, cannot be given to a people. We believe that African people are our own liberators and that we have a right and obligation to build an African People's Liberation Army to defend our political gains, our freedom fighters and communities, and to win our actual freedom from oppressive slave masters. We believe that neither meaningful freedom nor guaranteeing political or social gains nor genuine liberation are possible without assuring existence of an African People's Liberation Army. We believe further that only legitimate wars are wars of natural liberation and wars to oppose imperialist aggression, and that therefore the only legitimate military forces for Black people to serve, which are armed military forces which defend the liberty, repel imperialist aggression, such a force would be the African People's Liberation Army.
Thank you, Comrade Indu. So, Kobina, can you go to the main points of this one? So, okay, so the main points, the main ideas of this point is, one, we have the right to build our own army to liberate our people. We are our own liberators, thus we have a right to build our own African People's Liberation Army to defend and liberate ourselves from our oppressive colonial masters. 3, the only legitimate wars are wars to oppose imperialist aggression. And 4, the only legitimate military forces for African people are those to liberate ourselves and repel our aggressors, such as the African People's Socialist, the African People's Liberation Army. So, what I wanted to start off with is saying, like, where it says we have a right to build our own army to liberate our people, right? So, but who is we? You know, we have to understand first who we is, right? And obviously, it's, you know, we calling on we believe that it's an African People's Liberation. So we is African people, and who is African people? I'm gonna just throw that out there and let anybody can unmute themselves and, you know, ask who how do you define, you know, who is African people? You know, who is this army defending and protecting? All the Africans in here. Who is African people? What is African people? Is it just people in Ghana? Is it, you know, Kenya? Is it, you know, Black people in the South of the US? Or, you know, what is African people? How do we define what is the African nation?
The African people anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter about, you know, the location, you know, that's just where you happen to be at, where we haven't been enslaved at, or where we travel through, however we got there. It doesn't matter. Even if it was in China, we still are African people. We are the working class people. But we still, all us are African people. We just got some we have to deal with, to train them or whatever.
Right on. Yeah, African people is all Black people who've been, you know, forcibly dispersed around the world, no matter where the, you know, one thing that was like real clear to the chairman says, like, no matter where they dropped us off, you know, when we got off the boat, and we have to understand, no matter where we located, that we not some different group of African people or some hyphenated name of African people, or even the term Nigerian or Ghanaian. We one African people, because those imperialist borders don't serve us. And also, when we're talking about building a revolution, building an army, if we all these other divided things other than the African people, how are we going to build, how can we become the majority? How do we, you know, how do we take on the oppressors who claim to be the majority and always label us as the minority, right? But when we understand that we one African people, that gives us the capacity to really see, gain the confidence to see that we're the majority. You know, once we tear down all these borders and recognize that we got the whole continent Africa, all the other Black people that's been forcibly dispersed around the world. And I think that's important to recognize, because sometimes, you know, when we discuss like, in terms of like building revolution and, you know, military, and like from a military standpoint, or you know, in terms of like war, it can seem impossible because you're always being told that you're the minority. Like in the US, we only 14%. So how are we gonna have a Black US revolution with, you know what I'm saying, with 14%, and not recognizing none of the other Black people in the world is that we are part of that same nation, you know? So when we say you only 14 or less than 14% of the population in a, you know, in a specific area, you don't even have confidence to go up against something because you're not even half. How you gonna compete? You ain't even half, you know? And then, well, I'll leave it there and I'll open it up before we move on. Comrade Life.
Yeah, Hudu, I really appreciate that analysis, comrade. And I would say that, as Chairman Amala Yeshitela always points out, colonial capitalism began as a worldwide, it emerged as a worldwide social system based on its onslaught on Africa. So it's no way that we can have Africans in Jamaica or Africans in US type of revolution to overturn the worldwide social system. It's going to take all African people around the world to overturn this worldwide social system of colonial capitalism. And I know it's just hearing that for the first time might be difficult for African people who believe that they are Haitian or Jamaican or American African or whatever, however you say it. But the reality is, when we look at each other, we know we are the same. We are one nation. As Chairman points out, we have this sense of sameness, no matter where we are around the world. We often talk about, you know, white people would say something like, all Black people look alike. We know that they didn't mean that Kobina and I look alike, Kundai and Tequila look alike. What they meant was everywhere they went around the world, you know, wherever they found that Black man, the African, they look alike because we are the same people. And we know that kind of thing. Some of us think because we're born in America, that makes us an American or something like that. But when we look at the Asian person, we see slanted eyes, yellow skin, stringy hair, and right away, we say that person's Asian. As soon as we see them, we say they're Asian. If we see somebody who looks Mexican or something like it, we say they're Mexican or Hispanic. We don't ask where they were born. We don't know what hospital they came out of, but we know what they look like, and we can say that they're this or that. And so when we look at our own African selves, we ought to be able to say, you know, we are African.
Thank you, Comrade Life. Anybody got questions about that? And if you don't agree, or if there's something you want to struggle with, you can raise that too.
Comrade Saedo on Facebook said, "Ooh, we African globally."
Yeah, and I want to say, comrades, it's okay to be wrong, you know, because it's the place to get right. So I'm saying that because I know I invited a few people, and you know, and I know y'all talk. Some of y'all get on stage and talk. So don't be in the study silent. You know, let's have this discussion for real, because we're gonna sharpen each other and make each other better in this process. We're gonna win this damn revolution. All
right. Okay, well, I'm gonna assume that silence is unity. That silence means that everybody on this live know that they belong to the African nation, and understanding that, you know, works in our best interest in terms of getting free. Because, you know, and one thing that, like, this is one thing that really helped me to like understand it too, is one thing that Dr. Aisha Fields, who's the international director of one of our mass organizations called All African People's Development and Empowerment Project, who owns this institution. But one thing that Dr. Fields told me was that, you know, one thing that people were raised like about like before, you know, before white people colonized Africa, that, you know, everybody wasn't one African people then, and or, you know, like that kind of some sort of like that type of comment. I'm not saying exactly how it is, but, you know, that type of understanding, you know, a lot of people will have. And, you know, one thing that really helped me to understand it is that, but like, who does that serve? You know, for us to be all these other different, belong to all these different, you know, nations or all these other hyphenated names, who does that serve? It doesn't even, like, where we at right now in this period, it don't serve us. What serves us is understanding that we one people, especially in strategically in terms of winning a revolution. Even then, like we just said, we outnumbered here in the US, but if we out organize them and understanding this is a worldwide African revolution, then militarily we can't be defeated because all, and then all the other colonized people in the world too. I think this, you know, the call for an African liberation army is righteous, and African people really have to stand behind that and understand, you know, what does that mean, and have confidence in that, and know what we up against. But knowing what you up against, you have to understand who you are. Like, who is you? You know what I'm saying? Who is you, and who you up against? So I want to play this video. Kobina, you able to share it? Or do I need to?
Yeah, you can share, because I don't have the video, I don't think.
Okay, I sent it in the email.
Oh.
But I want to share this video, and this video is it's called The Battle of St. Pete. It's too many people in here from Tampa. No, I'm joking. It's so many people in here from Tampa. So I know most people on here probably know St. Pete, but for those of y'all that don't know, St. Petersburg, Florida is where, well, I was gonna say where our movement is headquartered here, but in the US, but it's also where the Burning Spear newspaper is produced, which also where you can find this 14-point platform in your Burning Spear newspaper. You'll never have to be without it. But in St. Petersburg, Florida, and this is a video. Let me see, here we go. This is a video of the chairman, the founder and chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, Amalia Shatella. And I'm trying to, it's been a long time since I had to share my screen. Okay. So I'm gonna shut up and let this video play.
To be just another day in Africa. That's what it was supposed to be. It is throughout. It was supposed to be just another day in Africa. That's what it was supposed to be. The state's response to the murder and to the immediate resistance that emerged was typical. But you need to know that the resistance was not typical. What happened in St. Petersburg was incredible for its advanced character. The advanced character of the resistance in St. Petersburg was striking. People all around the country, even with the garbage that was coming to the Chicago Sun-Times, and somebody who wrote that article, somebody showed it to me when I got here, somebody who wrote the article in the Chicago Sun-Times just went into a room someplace and said, why don't we say this? And then wrote something and said, why don't we say, and wrote something because it had no relationship to the real world. But the thing is that people, even through the bourgeois media, were able to see the advanced character of the struggle that happened in St. Petersburg, Florida. And it was advanced because even though there were waves of people in the streets, the thing that was so striking about St. Petersburg wasn't just burning and looting, so to speak, but there were what they like to refer to in this country when they're murdering people in Iraq and other places is there were surgical strikes that saw police precincts, 2 police precincts in the African community destroyed. That saw police cars burned on the spot. Saw media vehicles burned on the spot. Saw blood-sucking, filthy, parasitic merchants. Many of them been in the community for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Only role they play in the community is come there to pick up money. And as soon as they stay there long enough to exhaust the supply of money for the day, then they take the money and leave and come back the next day to get the money. And while people may have thought the masses were sleeping and didn't understand the role of these forces, they did clearly understand their role. And they went to burn to the ground. And it happened so quickly that the ruling class were writing about how that happened and how somebody must have planned it. And somebody must have made it happen like that.
Okay, and now I'm going to play the second video. So that I just want to give a little bit more context to the second video, which is why we played the first one. Can y'all hear it? Could y'all hear it?
Yeah, it was right on.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes, I can hear it. Oh, shit.
Oh.
Yeah, that whole video was powerful. That was, I know there's a lot to be said, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I hold it for after the next one. You're on mute if you're talking, Kundai.
Oh, I thought I was sharing my screen. Y'all couldn't see the video? Oh.
No.
Sorry, let me see something. Okay. Ooh, Kobina, I look like you on here. Ooh. Get together.
Oh, I done stepped up my game.
Okay, share sound. Okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and play and shut up, and then if y'all can't hear it, y'all too. Stop share. Okay.
I want to be free. I want you to be free. I want us to be a self-governing people, not actually having to ask the white man or anybody for anything. All normal, healthy human beings want to be self-governing and self-determining. I want to have a black power. I want to have a black government. When I say black power, I'm talking about black freedom. I'm talking about big lip freedom. I'm talking about broad nose freedom. I'm talking about nappy hair freedom. I'm talking about boombox on your shoulder freedom. I'm talking about black freedom, freedom on our own terms. I'm saying that we don't have to act like nobody else in order to be free.
The people rose up and met us with a fierce resistance. You understand? You know what I'm saying? Met us with a fierce resistance. It was a serious resistance, you understand? Because they intended, first, they failed in their attempt to isolate us politically, criminalize us, and shoot us off the prison. They failed. Then they tried to create a situation where they could provoke something that would allow them to attack us militarily. They were going to win it, get rid of us by a military attack. And when they attacked us militarily, they got their asses kicked by the people right there in the street. I mean this. You have to understand what happened. It was serious. The people brought down a police helicopter with gunfire, brought it down, forced it down with gunshot. They wounded one cop, shot one cop. And the transcript
of a police communication over the radio that appears in the paper the next day had the commander screaming over the radio, pull the troops back, we under heavy fire.
727 Miss P Productions. CeeLo, APSI, ASI. When we say East related to Africa, we are indeed saying Tanzania, Africa is our land. Cameroon, that's real. Senegal, related to Congo, Africa, Nigeria. That's right. Mauritania, Republic of Zambia, Africa, Tunisia, Swaziland, yes, Nigeria, Gabon, yes, Namibia, Liberia, East Renegades to the Cairo, to the Gaslight, to Morocco, East where the people gon' fight, East where the people gon' fight, to the Cape, to the Africa, Gaslight, to Morocco, Africa, East where the people gon' fight, East where the people gon' fight, Africa.
All right, so I'll just I'll leave it there and see. I'll open it up. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I know there's people. I just saw somebody, the 216 number. Some of y'all was on call and couldn't see it. But the video, I'm sorry, the video was just showing the battle of St. Pete. You know, where our chairman and other members of the party was in the Uhuru House in St. Petersburg, Florida, that came under attack by the police. And the video just showing what like the media van that was on fire, the police officer that was shot, and the other, you know, how they had the troops lined up, and just how like really yeah, just it was really just depicting how the people were resisting, and how the people, you know, really showing how the people is the #1 security, you know. And so I'll leave it there and open it up for anybody, any comments or questions about the video.
Oh yeah, I thought it was a powerful video, and I think it's fitting, you know, around this particular point, and why we need, you know, our own military and stuff like that, and this was, you know, behind the murder of then 17-year-old, you know, Tyron Lewis, and we just recently, which Comrade Life participated in, we continue to struggle to that, you know, Tyron Lewis still lived to this day. But that rebellion, you know, when the people rose up to defend Tyron Lewis, to defend the Uhuru movement, you know, I think it represented, you know, when people have the politics in their hand, when people have African internationalism in their hand, they know how to stand and make the right and then resist, and they understand that we have the right to resist. You know, so I think it was so much in that video and that whole struggle that we have to continue to move that struggle forward even today, where we have now even took the power to demand that the street be named after Tyron Lewis. You know, where we also developed a community gym named after Tyron Lewis. You know, but that struggle, it just showed that we have a right to resist, and it ain't no hands up, don't shoot, it's fist up, fight back, and to advance the revolution. And I think that's very fitting for this particular point. Ooh.
Yeah,
Comrade
Hoodoo,
Kobina,
I
I'm
appreciate.
glad. Like, give me
Go
1
ahead.
second, because I want
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
that piece that slogan that Kobina just mentioned. I appreciate your input, and also the slogan, like the difference between hands up, don't shoot, and fists up, fight back, right? Because this is working in two different directions, and one speaks to the interest of the colonizer, and one speaking the interest of the colonized. And I think every time we out in some sort of demonstration, whenever there's police brutality, it's always hands up, don't shoot. But how long do we got to have our hands up in the air and 90 bullets in our back before we realize that, just pleading to your colonizer is not going to save your life. It's not going to free you. It's not going to put food on your table. And damn if it makes them like you anymore. Like, what does it mean for your slave master to like you a little bit, But fist up, fight back is a slogan that embodies what we do in the Uhuru movement in the African People's Socialist Party. That, we not surrendering, we not asking them not to do nothing. We fighting back. We tired of being, beat up in the streets and gunned down in the streets by the police. And so it's time for African people to start fighting back. And we resist, in a lot of different ways. And sometimes in, isolated situations, but that's why organization is so important, in terms of security, in terms of, even strategically, like what makes sense. Organization and to have an organization put forth that type of slogan, I think is big. Again, because it's something that speaks to the poor working class and not in the interest of the middle class or in the interest of the colonizer. And I want to open, I know that's kind of like a common saying that a lot of people, so I just want to open it up there if people have questions or comments about that. And then we can go back to Comrade Life. All right, so we ain't got no pacifists in the room. Okay, go ahead, Comrade Life.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, and I appreciate you pointing out that slogan too, Kobina, and highlighting it, Comrade Kunde. I want to say though something about what Kobina said a bit ago, or some of the things that came out of that rebellion, that righteous and courageous rebellion of African people in St. Petersburg, right across the bridge from where I sit right now. For 8 years, when African people organize and fight back, right? Under a political theory like African internationalism, the theory of the African working class, which we have at our disposal, thanks to the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the African People's Socialist Party. With that theory, armed with that theory, the people were organized, the people fought back, and it made the state recognize the power of the people to the point they made an African chief of police. And that ain't the point, that because it don't matter who is the chief of the colonial army, but the point is they had to put an African in the position of chief of police that worked for the people. And that African, as long as he was chief of police for 8 years, would not allow a cop to kill an African in St. Petersburg. And for 8 years, the African did not get shot and killed by the police in the city of St. Petersburg. But that was because of the work of the African People's Socialist Party and the Africans in the community that were working under the leadership of African Internationalism, the revolutionary theory of the African working class, the revolutionary theory that we kick in with y'all right now. That's significant. I mean, I don't know how many cities, and St. Petersburg is a big city. I don't know how many cities can say for 8 years. I mean, now we can hardly go 8 days. We can't go a day without an African getting killed in most cities around this country. But we did that for 8 years in the city of St. Petersburg. I just thought that was important to point out.
Life, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Well, one thing that Comrade Life just said was that they put that the state selected an African. And when you said the state, I want to open it up to see if people understand what the state is, and probably and sometimes when you hear something, you might not recognize it if you're used to it. And I'm sure the chairman probably said the state in the video, but I want to see if somebody that's not a member of the African People's Socialist Party can tell us can define what the state is. That's one of those Uhuru buzzwords that we use a lot. I don't want to put nobody on the spot, but I like doing that. So anybody wanna go ahead and take it before I put somebody on the spot? Oh, okay. Let's go with let's see. Keisha, I know Keisha probably. Keisha, are you in a place to talk, to come off mute?
Uhuru,
Keisha.
Uhuru, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you good. Keisha, are you can you tell us what you think the state means when, when Comrade Life and the chairman refers to, the police as the state? Can you define what the state is?
When I think of the state, I think of the mindset of colonial people, the oppressor. I think of the mindset.
Uhuru. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Not just the mind state, but the institution that has us in the position that we're in and the position that they're in. That's the state.
Uhuru, Keisha. Yeah, thank you for that, Keisha. Uhuru. So yeah, that's a good answer. And so and just to elaborate on a little bit more, when we talk about the state, we're talking about like she said, that these, institutions that have been created, or like these social forces. So we have like the police, the army, the military, and all these different branches, the army, what else they got? The Air Force, the Navy, all these things, the police, the fire department, the city council members or board, your mayor, your all these.
Take it a step further, Kundai, and call it what it is. I mean, that's the justice system. That's the social services. That's your DHR.
Yes.
That's your. I mean, call it what it is. It is. But it goes beyond the government. I mean, our schools, your colleges, your universities, your community colleges. I mean, that's the state. It's everything. Call it what it is.
Thank you, Keisha. Yes, that's it. Keisha, I know you on the phone. Aisha put in the comments, so she said, go ahead, Keish. Instruments of oppression. Yes. So yes, thank you for that.
Comrade
Keisha.
Osupa on Facebook said the United States government. Right on, Comrade Osupa.
That's it. You were on the edge. Go ahead, Queen Mother.
Yeah, Huru. I mean, y'all left something out. We got the CIA. We got the we have the CIA. We have the also you have the presidents. You have the Child Protective Service. You have the police. You have the sheriff. You have all of them.
Yes. Yeah. All that is the state.
Yes, and you got the also the one, what they call that when you get the borders, you go to the borders. All of that is tied up with the state. United Snakes. I call it the snake. I don't call it the state.
I know that's right. The snakes.
That's right, the snakes. Not the snakes.
Yes. Aisha said, call the names, Queen Mother. That's it. Uhuru. Thank y'all. Yeah, that was good. Good input. And I hope for everybody else, maybe just listening, I hope that was clear. And if it's something that's not, if you want to have any questions about anything we just said about defining what the state is, now is a good time to do that. So okay, so all right, so let's Kobina, can we go to the questions? Can you go to the questions? All right, so we believe that, all right, now we're gonna just open it up and let folks answer it. And if not, we're gonna call on some people. So we believe that A, the NAACP will liberate us, B, Obama will liberate us, C, African people are our own liberators, or D, all of the above.
Uhuru.
Cream mother.
The number C is African people and our own liberation.
Yes, yes. Can you say why it's not, why the NAACP not gonna liberate us?
NAACP is getting paid by the enemy. I call them the enemy. I speak my mind, so I'm gonna say the enemy. And Obama isn't for us either. So the only person gonna be for us is us, and the African people are our own liberation, because that's the ones who the liberation. Some is woke and some is woke up and some is not. So everybody is not gonna be liberated. It's only gonna be the ones who liberated.
Yes, and if it was gonna be NAACP or Obama, we'd be free by now.
They're not gonna do it.
Exactly.
They wasn't intended to do it.
Exactly. We got any questions or comments on question number 1 before we go to the next one? All right. Number 2, we have a right and an obligation to A, vote in U.S. elections, B, read any book we want, C, build an African People's Liberation Army, or D, none of the above. Now I know this one is a no-brainer, but when whoever answers this one, just elaborate on why you think it's not the answers that you didn't choose. All right, so do we got somebody else that want to take on question number 2?
I take it on if nobody else don't. This is Queen because I already got my answer. That's number 2.
Okay, Queen, let me okay, let's see.
And somebody else answer why. I just told you number 6. I'm gonna get the other to somebody. I have to answer, but I'm gonna get it.
Okay, let's see. Maybe Jason, do you want to say why it's not that we have a right and an obligation to vote in the U.S. election or to read any book that we want? Because if I want to go and vote, I can go and vote if I want to, or I can go and read any of these books that's on this shelf right now.
I could say vote, but I would have to say read any book because I'm an avid reader, and that was one of the things they tried to take away from African Americans and people in the Caribbean. They didn't want people to read so they could educate themselves and liberate themselves. So I would have to say the right to read and educate yourself.
So for this one, okay, I see you going to the next one. Okay, I'm gonna leave you there. All right, so 3, okay, we going, which one we doing?
Comrade, let's because I know that we getting tight. We're gonna do this next question, and then we'll do the call, and then we'll do the call for membership and resources right after that, and then we'll see where we at.
Okay. All right. I don't know. Can y'all see the screen or it's just me? Oh. All right. So who wants to take number 3? Do we have somebody? Let's see. Life. Why don't you call out somebody since you brought the whole Tampa in the house?
All right, yeah, that's easy. I'm
You know these forces.
finna call on somebody who has joined us on a number of occasions and has not been able to participate for whatever reason or the other. How about Lashonda? Can you able to answer this question?
Yes, good evening. I would go with.
Well, read it out so everybody, because some people on the phone, they can't see.
Okay. So the question or the statement is we need an African People's Liberation Army to A, defend our political gains, or B, to defend our freedom fighters and communities, and then also to win our freedom from our oppressors. So I would say really, we want to win our freedom from our oppressors. And once we do that, then we'd have our own communities and we'd be able to defend our own communities. I'm not keen on the political gains because I think that is a part of the state when we look at politics, but definitely the goal would be to definitely become free. So I would go with C.
I appreciate that, comrade. You got something to say, Kunde? You gonna respond, or you leading this thing?
If you want to go ahead and take that on, if you want to respond
Yeah,
to, you can.
I would say I agree. We need freedom fighters, but it's gonna have to be all of the above. And I really want to just take a brief moment to say your observation about politics being in the hands of the state is an astute observation. That's the way it is currently, you know, because the state is the ruling class. But the objective of the African People's Socialist Party is to make the African worker the ruling class, to bring ourselves into governance. And at that point in time, it will be our politics, our political gains. That's what we mean, the African People's Socialist Party. That's what we mean when we say our political gains, not the political gains as that exist as extant under the existing social system, but the political gains of the African People's Socialist Party that say that we are free, that we are the state, that we police ourselves, that we control the ins, the outs, etc. So yeah, so it's gonna be, and you didn't say D, all of the above. You just said A, B, C, but there was a D, all of the above, and it's gonna be that answer right there for the reason that I just stated, Uhuru. If you got some questions about that, I mean, you should ask. But that's, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because we don't mean like Republican and Democrat or this thing that Bernie Sanders talks about, whatever it is, or the Green Party or the Purple Pill or whatever they're talking about. We're talking about African People's Socialist Party's revolutionary theory that says that we will take state power and become the class that rules. And our army got to protect that, so because they ain't gonna give it up. You know, when we take it, they ain't gonna just they gonna try to get it back. So we have to have our army, just like they got their army. That's the reason why the state has the army, the navy, and all this stuff that Queen Mother mentioned and everybody else mentioned. That's the reason why the state has all these military installations all around the world, is because they're trying to protect the state from the people who trying to take the stuff back. That's why they fight in Iran, fighting in Afghanistan, fighting you and I right here in the US, because they're trying to make sure that we never get the guts to take our stuff back. That's why the state exists, and we're gonna have the same state when we take power.
One thing we're gonna look at when you talk about politics is this: is that like when they talk about politics, it's just like you said about Republican, Democrat, and social, whatever the other people are. When we talk about anything that we do that to uplift the power of the African people, is political to us. It has nothing to do with no party name. It's the struggle we go about doing to liberate African people. It's nothing about no party name.
Oh, right on, comrade. And I really want to appreciate that summation of that, and I appreciate Lashonda's the way that she answered the question as well, and how that was followed up. And I'm glad that the people are beginning to engage, because all of us participating is what's going to help deepen our unity. And I want to be able to, we want to be able to have these discussions. This is what we struggle at. You know what I'm saying? We struggle here, so we sharpen each other and sharpen ourselves, so we go out in the world, we're able to organize that more efficiently. And I want to turn it over to Comrade Life to do a call to be a part of this process, and a call for to help us reach our goal resource-wise as well. So I'm gonna turn it over to Life, Comrade, and
Yeah, Uhuru, Comrade Kabina, I appreciate that. I just want to say that I appreciate everybody who came on to this meeting this evening. It was a very important meeting for me, because point number 10, it was Mao Zedong, who was the revolutionary leader in China, who rescued China from the oppression under British colonial domination. And it was Mao who said that political power comes from the barrel of the gun. He understood how important it was to have an organized army made up of a cadre of revolutionary soldiers. And so this point number 10 is always resonated with me, because we have to have revolutionary soldiers. We have to have cadre who bring our freedom into existence. I know that sometimes it looks bleak. It looks like it's going to always be this way. It looks like it's going to always be where the white people have control of the state, but it wasn't always that way, and it ain't going to be that way forever. But it's going to take us to overturn it. Some of you have heard of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X and Huey P. Newton and the rest of them. Well, Chairman Omali Yeshitela lived in that same era. He hung out with Huey. As a matter of fact, Huey P. Newton said some of it, gave his last speech at the Uhuru House in Oakland. And somebody asked me a bit ago, what does Uhuru mean? Uhuru is Swahili for freedom. That's why we say Uhuru all the time when we answer the phone, when we say, when we greet each other farewell, when we step away, we say Uhuru, because freedom ought to always be on our minds. And so right now, comrades, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, the last revolutionary standing, the leader of this African Revolutionary Socialist Party, and I, on his behalf, invite you to join the African Revolution, join history, be a part of history. I just mentioned Malcolm X and Martin King and others. You know, you saw them on TV and heard them make speeches, but those great speeches and those fiery displays that you would see on video, those were born in meetings like the one you're participating in right now. They did this kind of study like we're doing right now, but they didn't have Zoom, of course, but they were on phones and in person having these kinds of conversations to be able to give the leadership to the people that you and I know them for today. And you can be that kind of leader. We're calling on you to be that kind of leader. Right now, all you got to do is put in the chat that you want to join. And some of y'all been here enough times, you ought to be members now. Don't make me call no names like Jason Watson, right? LaShonda Clark, Tequila Forward. Don't make me call names like that, but you've been in a meeting enough that you should be a member, or at least try to be a member, because everybody can't be a member of the party, but you should try. And join APSP-Uhuru.org is the link, and I'm gonna put that in the chat for you, so you can jump on that, APSP-Uhuru.org, and let me see, I'm trying to do that right now. Hold on. And so you can say, you can click that link and join.
It's in there.
Oh, it's in there? All right, bet. Okay, cool. There it is. Yeah, join APSP-Uhuru.org and become a member. And all of us in this meeting who are African People's Socialist Party members will embrace you, will help you along the way. It's not easy being a revolutionary, but I mean, some of the people that you say you love the most, even Jesus was a revolutionary. If you don't believe me, just look at your Bible. The state, the Roman government, the state came came and arrested him for sedition, for treason, for leading a rebellion. You understand? Not for praying too much or anything like that, but for struggling against the state. And so, come on and be like Jesus. Join the revolution. The African People's Socialist Party is waiting on you. And you should join. But also, if you don't join today, right? You can still participate. You might be able to tell I used to go to church because I sound like how they do. Is you can still, now is your time. Everybody can participate in this portion. But the African People's Socialist Party, the Southern region has a goal every time we do this study to make sure that we can continue doing these types of studies and take the show on the road. We even go as far as Washington, D.C. and participate in marches on the White House, etc. And to do that, we need revolutionary dollars. So my man Kobina just dropped the Cash App link in the chat. It is $APSP South. Comrades, sisters, and brothers, donate something. We have a goal of $100. Last I checked, it was 13 people in this study, so we ought to be able to raise that $100. And we just waiting on you. I'm not gonna wait on you. I'm gonna start it off with Brother Greg's donation. Brother Greg couldn't make it tonight, but Brother Greg did send $15. And so I'm a cash out that as soon as I can get out of this. I don't want to mess up my presentation by trying to do it now, but Brother Greg did send that 15 while we were in the study, and I'm going to cash out that to APSP South, $APSP South. Comrades, go ahead and make your cash app. You can make your announcement, you can make your pledge and say I will and say by when, but we need to raise this money right now, comrades, sisters, and brothers. Can we count on you?
I'm gonna match that 15.
Right on. You on mute, Jay White. I see you trying to give that 200. You on mute though.
I'm gonna match the 15. I'm gonna match the 15. I'm also joining.
Right on. Are you also joining?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it is.
I'm in the car driving. You gotta excuse me. I done jumped in the car and driving and all kind of stuff. You gotta excuse me,
No, that's all good. Africans always working. We like to see that. We got one member and we got 315. Hoodoo, comrade. Somebody gonna hit you up with that. With that membership info. Right on.
But I'm gonna get off this phone because I'm in traffic. But I'm
all right, comrade. All right, comrade. We're gonna
everybody.
Hoodoo.
Blessings.
Be safe out there, Hoodoo.
Thank you.
Come on, comrades. Not all at once, but somebody say what they're gonna do and let's make it happen. It sounds like we almost there. Let's get this money. Let's win this revolution.
I'm a master 50.
What you say?
I'm a master 50. I'm 15. I got cash.
Right on.
Yeah, and Indu said how much?
15.
Okay.
LaShonda put in the comments 25.
Right on.
All
right, comrade.
We're gonna let you work on that afterwards.
Comrade Kobina keeping up with the numbers. I know he is. So, but we ain't got to. Right on. And I don't know if did I say I got 15 on it? I got 15 on it.
And that's the 100.
Right on. That don't mean that comrades can't participate even still. We always we always want to give comrades the opportunities.
I got 15 on it also.
Right on. Say your name, comrade, so we know who to attribute that to.
T Double. I got 15 on it.
That's what's up. Appreciate it, T Double. All right, so we're not going to belabor the process because I definitely want comrades, especially new sisters and brothers who joined, to say something about your experience in this process. T Double, I mean, since you just had your mic open, you can, talk about it a little bit. And, Russell, appreciate you joining the meeting, man. You could talk about it a little bit. And, let's, I'm not definitely not trying to take the meeting over from Comrade Kundai. It's your meeting. You leading the meeting, but I just want to make sure that these comrades know we want to hear from them before we get out of here.
Yeah, no, I think go ahead.
Come on, T-Double, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I definitely want to say I enjoyed this meeting. I was looking forward to it. I look forward to joining more meetings like this. I like the information. I like the people and the positive energy so far. So this is right up my alley and wheelhouse, and I'm looking forward to learning more and expanding. Thank you.
Right on, comrade. Right on. Come on, Russell. Let's hear from you, brother. Russell, are you there? You're on mute if you're trying to say something, comrade. All right.
We had a donation from Osupa on Facebook for $20.
It was just 2 new people. Life, you on mute.
There were just 2 new people who stayed with us past the hour. So we had some other new people, but they grew weary.
All right, well, shout out to the ones that don't rest, the ones that stayed on. But yeah, I appreciate that. And you said it was T-Dub. I hope you come on every Thursday then. And then also before next Thursday, this Sunday, one announcement this Sunday, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, you know, the founder of this party and the creator of African Internationalism, which is a theory that we've been, you know, articulating tonight, goes live every Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. So you can tune into that on Facebook or YouTube as well, and you can put your questions in directly in the chat to you know, give yourself a chance to get a chairman an opportunity to answer your question live on television and live on the stream, whatever it is. And just like Comrade Life was saying, you know, sometimes I know I hear a lot of people say like, dang, I wish I could have asked, you know, Malcolm X this, or I wish I could pick Huey P. Newton brain about this, but you can do that right now with Chairman Omali Yeshitela. You know, so I would encourage everybody to go on to that. But I'm sure Comrade Kobini got some other announcements besides that one. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Can I?
Yeah, before we close out, I appreciate you raising the Chairman O'Malley taught me every Sunday. And comrades, this I just really want to appreciate everybody for being here. Appreciate everybody for contributing to our liberation. Nobody else is going to fund, you know, our liberation. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate everybody participating, and this is where we got to be, comrades, because really there's no other organization in our history that has had 50 years of continual struggle. And we have to be, you know, most of our struggles have been disrupted, you know, like the Garvey movement was disrupted, you know what I'm saying? The Black Panthers, you know, was attacked and disrupted by the state. And the African People's Socialist Party and Chairman O'Malley has been on the ground for 50 plus years struggling. So to have that type of continual struggle, you develop and you grow and you expand and you really have the ability to solve all the problems of the revolution. And that's what has happened. That's who the African People's Socialist Party is. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's what was happening when the military defeat that we suffered in the 70s, the Garvey movement, you know, it was a stop, start. But now we have a situation where there was a continual struggle for us to be able to advance the struggle. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have to join the African People's Socialist Party and be a part of this process. So I just really want to highlight that this is our, next year would be 50-year anniversary of the African People's Socialist Party. 50-year anniversary of the African People's Socialist Party. We will have our African People's Socialist Party plenary coming up, you know, in February. And next week we will definitely have the graphic and really be, struggling to win people to this process. And one of the political education, we may even look at the call to the plenary, and we want you to be there. We want you to be a part of that process. So without further ado, comrades, again, I appreciate y'all being over for a little over an hour today. Appreciate Comrade Kundai, who did an excellent job in moderating this process and leading us through this. And even, I appreciate, what she put into it, the videos, the making a parallel to the point. So you can see that the point is the trajectory of the African People's Social Party. It's not just some type of spontaneous thing that we're doing. Everything that we do is based in the 14-point platform. I appreciate being able to make that connection and bringing that discussion out. And appreciate Comrade Jason joining, donating, you know what I'm saying? Let's get this thing started, comrades. Without further ado, Vanguard up, Uhuru.
Vanguard up, Uhuru.
Vanguard up.
Vanguard up, Uhuru.
Oh.